Brian Little.
Japan.
Hello and welcome to Monson Made This. My name is Michael. I cook vegan food. So if you are interested in that, definitely click the subscribe button below and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up while you're down there. This channel just hit a little over 26,000 subscribers, so I want to thank all of you that have subscribed, those of you that have been here since the beginning, and also I want to just give a special shout out to those of you that have been supporting this channel on Patreon. If you would like to do that as well, there is a link below. If you follow me on Patreon and support this channel through that, then you also get to watch the Monson Ate This videos, which are my little after shows that I film after I film the recipe video. And speaking of recipe video, today I have a brand new recipe for you. I've been really interested in beans lately. I've been cooking up a ton of beans and it's led to a bunch of kind of cool recipes, and this one is no exception. Today we are going to be making bean and rice mini chimichangas, and we're going to be cooking them in the air fryer. And we're not necessarily going for like authentic Mexican chimichangas, but authentic sort of frozen mini chim things. So I'm going to tell you about all the ingredients that I'm going to be putting in mine today, but just keep in mind that this is going to be more of an idea, more of a concept, and not necessarily about the exact recipe, although I will have the exact recipe for what I'm doing here on my website, monsonmadethis.com, which is also linked below. So, take a breath. Let's talk about the ingredients that I'm going to be putting into mine, and then we will start cooking things up. So, as I mentioned, I've been really into beans lately, which, if you're wanting more bean content, I kind of have this idea of doing a whole month of beans. If you want that, definitely comment below that you want a month of beans. And one bean that I'm kind of new to, but has kind of broken a barrier that I've had about refried beans is the Mayakoba beans. I've never cooked these before. I've actually cooked these in my Instant Pot as the slow cooker, but these to me, after I've cooked them and mashed them up, are the perfect bean to make a refried bean. The texture is amazing, the flavor is amazing, and I'm not sure if this is what a lot of like Mexican restaurants use, but I feel like whenever I've used pinto beans, it hasn't been the same. When I've used these, it feels like it's the thing that restaurants have been secretly using all these years. So these are gonna be turned into a sort of a refried or mashed bean. And to just add a little bit of texture and flavor variation, I also have some black beans, which you can't really see in here. These were cooked the same way in the Instant Pot in the slow cooker fashion. And I'll have some notes about that on the website as well. But I'm gonna be mashing these beans and then leaving these whole. As I said, these are going to be a rice and bean mini chimi burrito things. So the rice is also very important here. I found this packet of mi arroz, which is I'm assuming just kind of a Mexican flavored rice seasoning mix. It's definitely got a lot of flavor enhancers in it, but again, this is something that I feel like once I made this, which I actually made this ahead of time, once I made this, I felt like, oh my God, this is what the restaurants have been using. This is the rice that I've been chasing all these years. So we've got the beans, we've got the rice. We're also gonna be using some Violife shredded cheddar cheese in there. And the star ingredient that is going to make these air-fried little mini chimichangas possible are these uncooked tortillas. And these are really nice. It's sort of like a wonton wrapper or an egg roll wrapper, but just flour tortilla style. So we're gonna be wrapping the ingredients in that before we cook them, and it's gonna help us to bake them or air fry them, and it's gonna give them kind of a nice deep fried texture out of the oven. So, huge mouthful, huge front load here. Let's go over to the stove and I will show you how I'm going to make my beans. I've stored my cooked beans in their cooking liquid, and I'm just going to strain them now, but I'm gonna reserve the liquid just in case I need to moisten the beans a bit in case they're a little bit dry. I find that if you have a perfectly cooked bean and you mash them without really any liquid, it's kind of the perfect texture for this. So this is gonna go into a pot, and I wanna make sure it's a pot that I can put metal in because I'm gonna be using this metal potato masher. And I'm just gonna turn the heat up to medium, and I'm going to start mashing. For flavoring, I'm going to be adding this Better Than Bouillon vegetable seasoning. A lot of refried beans do contain lard, and they kind of have like a meaty taste to them, so that's what that is going to help me achieve. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil just for some fat. I'm going to add some red pepper flake for flavor, and a little bit of nutritional yeast just to kind of boost the nutrition and flavor as well. Once I get these all mashed up, then I will add the black beans, because I don't want to mash those up. Like I said, I want to leave them in there for a little bit of texture. I have these beans mashed up to my liking, so I'm going to switch over from my masher to a wooden spoon. And now I'm going to add the oil, the seasonings, and I'm going to basically just salt it to taste. And then once everything is pretty much seasoned how I want it, then I'm going to add the black beans. This doesn't need to really cook any longer. It doesn't need to be super hot. I just want to get all the flavors combined, the beans mashed, and then they will do the majority of their, I mean, they're already cooked, never mind. But they'll be heated through in the cooking of the mini chim process. All right, so just gonna add a little glug of olive oil. If you wanted to keep this oil free, don't add this. Add some nutritional yeast. And again, I'll have this full recipe, even though I'm sort of eyeballing things right now, on my website. I'm gonna add the bouillon before I add the salt. Actually add the red pepper flake now. You wanna do that to taste, depending on how much spice you like. And because I don't have a spoon near me, I'll just use this chopstick. I want about a half teaspoon per cup of beans. Turn this down. Definitely not the right tool for the job there. All right, so stirring this up. Smells amazing already. Like I said, that bouillon just gives it kind of a nice, meaty, rich umami flavor. And I didn't get it completely like puree. That's why I did it with the masher instead of like in a food processor. I still want a little bit of texture on the Mayakoba beans, which I hope I'm saying that correctly. Before I add the black beans, I just want to taste this for seasoning. Really good. That bouillon added all the salt that I need, so I'm not actually going to add any more salt to this. I'm going to add some black beans, and I'm just going to use a slotted spoon to take these directly out of the jar into this. This is optional. You could even do completely, if you just wanted to use all black beans and do a kind of a refried or a mashed black bean, that'd be great too. If you wanted to do something more along the lines of like kind of like a ground taco meat type of thing, you could use like Beyond Meat or Impossible and season that up, use that in this as well. It's completely up to you. But this bean portion is completely done. So I'm gonna get myself a little assembly line set up over on my island, and we will start to put these little mini chimmy frozen burritos together. So in a bowl, I'm just gonna combine the rice, the beans, my cheese, some fresh jalapenos, stir it together, and then I will be scooping them into the tortillas. Everything is combined. This just makes the scooping a lot easier, that I'm not having to put 4 ingredients in separately. So I'm just gonna set this bowl to the side. I'm also going to be using this ice cream scoop to portion out each one. This is about a 1/3 cup or maybe about 2.5 ounces. So you could just use a 1/3 cup measurement if that's all you had. So let's start loading these up and rolling them. These are available pretty much at any grocery store. This particular one is from Costco, but if you look in the refrigerator section of your supermarket, you should be able to find uncooked tortillas. I've just spritzed them with a little bit of water. This just helps making the rolling process a little bit easy, keeps them a little bit more pliable, and kind of prevents them from cracking. And put the scoop in the middle, folding up the edges. And then I'm just going to roll these up into mini little burritos. I also want to spritz the top a little bit, again, to keep it moist, and then spritz the seam so it hopefully sticks a little bit. I'll also be adding a toothpick once I've got a few of these done, and that's just gonna help ensure that they're not gonna open. And also some air bubbles tend to form on the bottom side. It'll prevent them from kind of unrolling themselves. I'm going to be adding a toothpick to the bottom of these and just kind of weaving them through. Just make sure that you take these out before you serve them. And I'm going to be actually air frying 2 of these. This is pretty much an air fryer recipe, but some of you don't have air fryers. Probably most of you don't have air fryers. So I'm going to be baking them as well. So I'll put 2 in the air fryer, 2 in the oven, and we'll kind of compare to see the results. A lot of people have asked in other recipes if they can just bake something that I've made in the air fryer. Short answer is yes, but I'm interested to kind of see what the difference will be. I'm going to be using my Philips air fryer. This is an old model. I'm not even sure if they make this one anymore. I've been using this for close to 5 years now. So I'm going to put 2 of these into the basket. Now, if you were trying to make these as like a make-ahead, or you're trying to store them in the freezer, what I would do is cook them for a few minutes until they start to kind of hold their shape, when they kind of get a little bit firm on the outside, but haven't yet browned. And then I would cool them and then freeze them at that point. If you wanted to make them just to have them in the fridge for maybe the week, because you probably don't want them hanging around for more than like 4 or 5 days max, what I would do is pretty much cook them completely, cool them, store them in the fridge, and you can just warm them up again in the air fryer or the microwave or the oven. So these ones are going in here. They're gonna go in at the max temp, which is 390, and these other 2 are just gonna go into my smart oven, and they should only take about maybe 10-15 minutes max to brown and crisp up. And that's the last clip we have of this video with audio in it. This is editing Michael here, even though I'm in Ben's office and he's editing the video. When we were going to edit the final product, we realized we were missing audio for the final clip. So I decided to film a little voiceover outro thing for you here. So when I put them into the air fryer and the oven, they cooked up nicely, pretty much the exact same, although the air fryer took only about 8 minutes to complete, whereas the conventional oven took closer to maybe like 17 or 18 minutes. I decided to do a little cross section, show you how beautiful and steamy the insides were. These were truly delicious, which you'll see on my face at the taste test without any audio. I also chopped up some fresh lettuce, some cilantro, some tomato, onion, and when I did my final assembly and tried to make them look really nice and pretty for the camera, I also put a drizzle of some of my homemade vegan soy yogurt on the top, which is also on my website. And don't forget, when you do serve these, to remove the toothpick. You don't want to surprise anybody with that in there. So this is the final product, pretty for the camera. Normally, if I were eating this, I would probably just be holding them in my hand and dipping them in some sort of sauce, but for the sake of YouTube, I've made it a really nice, beautiful dish, so check out the glamour shots of it. Odie has decided to join me here for the outro. Thank you all for watching. You really do need to give this recipe a try, even if you do use canned refried beans or your own kind of rice, brown rice, white rice. You use the exact same ingredients that I did, which of course will all be on the website. monsonmadethis.com. Thank you again for watching. Thank you to those of you that are supporting me on Patreon. I really do appreciate it. I know it's been a couple weeks since the last video. We will have a brand new one coming up next week, I promise. And if you do want more bean content, I've got a lot more bean ideas in me. If you do want some more bean content, then definitely please comment below that you want more bean videos. So thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Say bye.